Welcome to the Suburbs with Andy and Greg.
This is Season 2, Episode 38. Enjoy.
We were at dinner last night. Carly said, there's a drag strip near our house. I was like, what? How's there a drag strip near our house? Where is that? They tried for a while to convert the old Indian Stadium into a
dirt track.
Right.
I think it actually was a track at one time, briefly.
It was. Tony George tried that.
Yes.
I said that, and she's like, no, it's in a straight line. Everybody stops eating. They're all on their phone Googling drag strip Indianapolis, and Raceway Park keeps coming up. And I said, Whiteland, is it like a dirt track? And she's like, no. And I go, Soapbox Derby?
Yeah, that's it. Well, yeah.
She goes, I don't know. And Keely says, you mean the cars that balloons come out to slow them down? I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah, that's them. That I'd see.
I think you're talking about the movie Up.
Yeah, or a clown car. Balloon animals. Oh, it's a dog. Oh, a giraffe. You were mentioning drag strips, so you may remember that Graham Rahal was married to a former funny car driver, Courtney Force. Years ago, Courtney was at an IndyCar race, and they were watching Graham work his way around the track. He was playing the fuel strategy game, feathering and coasting and, all the tricks they do to try to save fuel on a road course. And they were interviewing Courtney when she was there, and they asked her about fuel strategy. And she says, I don't know, I burned 15 gallons in 3 seconds. I don't know anything about fuel strategy.
Right. And that's just in my Hummer.
You're asking the wrong person about fuel strategy. Is that track still there?
Oh, yeah.
Tore the golf course down, right?
Well, the ground is still there. It's going to be a park.
Oh, okay.
Right now, it's an abandoned golf course. And they've got a big sign with sorely missed timelines still on display for everybody to see because, it's a city project.
Coming in 2021.
That's what it says.
Stand by. It'll be beautiful. Cannot believe how nice this park is going to be.
I was on the middle school golf team, and that was our home course, Riverside Golf Course. And I was on Candid Camera at that golf course.
The real TV show with Alan Funt?
Yes.
Really? Tell me more.
It was on the back nine. You hit up to the green and went to take the flag out of the hole, and the flagpole just kept going up 20 feet in the air, and I finally said, can you just putt? And at that time, we're like, who's jacking with us? I mean, it's not even funny at that point. So we just kind of leave it there so it's hiked up like something on a boat. And then we go over to the next tee, put the ball in the washer, and it disappears. And so I start to tear apart the golf ball washer to figure out where my golf ball went. And this dude comes sprinting out of the van, and it's Alan Funt going, stop! You're on Candid Camera. And so we had to do a take two because I was taking the golf ball washer apart.
Their prop golf ball washer.
What is this, duct tape? I'm peeling it off. So we're signing releases that our likeness can be used on TV, and the Indy Star called us for interviews before they got rid of the editors. Oh man, that is a dad rant.
Oh, I know. He was
du jour.
Very anti-newspaper.
Only because of the editing.
Right.
It's all advertising now. The whole thing's so thin. I'm sorry, Dad. Do you read it online? No, I'm not going to read it online. It needs to be paper.
Well, he has DSL, so it would download slowly.
You'd have this X where the image is supposed to be.
Right, yeah. Sorry. Not enough bandwidth for this black and white picture to come through. So did you make it on the show?
Yeah.
Do you have this in your archives?
No.
I'm not even sure there were VCRs when you were in 7th grade. It's probably on YouTube.
But that has since evolved to...
Cheaters.
Yeah, cheaters.
It's a candy camera for the adults.
That'd be a good one for golf, too, because you could see a lot of that going on. Where are you hiding your balls?
Yeah, hey now. In episode 33, we talked about your affinity to talk to strangers, and you're always drawn to a conversation with somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
You may recall the other day we were sitting in the stands enjoying Indy cars going by in practice, and you looked over and saw a guy, and you said, I think I know him, and you finally said, I got to do it. So then what happened?
The other backstory on this isn't that I just glanced over and saw this guy I thought I knew. It's that every year at practice for the Indy 500, there are certain places where we sit.
Correct.
Because we go there every year, you can look around. And again, we had this conversation yesterday. I can remember that I've seen this guy in the stands every year that I'm sitting there. Physics, I don't remember anything. Spelling is even a challenge these days.
Or even spelling physics.
Spelling physics, yeah. I do know that it starts with an F.
Yeah, obviously. It'd be stupid if you didn't know that.
For crying out loud.
I think there's a K in there somewhere, too.
Is there?
Toward the end. And a Z.
So I noticed it's that same guy. I went to Ball State with him. We lived in the house together, but there were a lot of guys that lived in that house. So it's got to be him. I've got to go up and say, you went to Ball State. Weren't we in the same house together? And that's the part that was gnawing at me. You know, it was like, I think I know that. It wasn't just like there are 40,000 people there, and I'm like, I got to talk to that person right there. I've singled him out.
I think he's the drunkest one in the stands. We talked to him.
He did have a Jack Daniel's shirt on, and he was enjoying something in a tumbler.
Yeah.
Many tumblers.
All day.
Yes. So he wasn't feeling any pain, and you're sitting there going, it's gnawing at you. I can tell it's gnawing at you. I need to close this down. Is it him or isn't it? Because I've asked this question of myself every May for, 4 or 5 years.
45 years.
4 or 5 years.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, right. 110, 120. You're like, well, just go do it now. No, I'll do it before we leave. 5 minutes later, I go down and tap on him, and he's like, yeah. I said, were you sick up at Ball State? He's like, no, I went to Indiana Central. I'm a Southsider. No, I never went to Ball State. My name's Tim. I go, hey, Tim, my name's Greg. And so then his friend from behind leans down, and he said, my name's Brian. And I go, hey, Brian, Tim was my best man in 1984. We went to high school together. I go, did ya? And he said, yeah. And I said, you were in the same seats every year. We've been in the same seats every year since high school. I said, really? Yes. He said, are you from Indianapolis? And I said, yeah, I went to North Central. And he said, I played tennis in the state championships at North Central in 1981. And next thing you know, now I'm on their Christmas card list and I'm invited to dinner. Southside Tim.
Southside Tim had enjoyed a nice Jack Daniels with him.
Yes, I was offered a Jack Daniels. I passed. So 1981, he played in the state championship in tennis. 1984, he's the best man of Brian. Everybody else in the whole group, you could hear a pin drop other than... and they're just looking like, what is going on here? But the two friendly guys happen to be the two guys that I was targeting to talk to in the first place.
They might have thought they were on Candid Camera.
Right, maybe.
You're not Alan Funt.
No, definitely not. You got the F part right.
Physics?
Yeah. So my other brush with talking with strangers, I sold my dad's house. I sold it to a woman named Melba and her husband, Chuck.
Melba and Chuck.
Melba and Chuck are older, and I don't know if their children have decided not to talk to them anymore or what the deal is, but I became a pseudo child, and they called me all of the time. Actually, I was taking a leak, and they came in. 9 times out of 10.
Right into the bathroom.
Almost.
Isn't that nice?
Like, they had to have heard me going, Greg? I'm like, what? Zipping up midstream.
Busy.
Yeah. They just came waltzing in. Hey, Greg, we've got a... I'm like, the switch doesn't go to anything. I said, yeah, it goes to that light. Well, it doesn't work. I don't know why the builder did this, but like 4 feet away is another switch.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it was like toggling.
Yes. And so I flipped that other switch and turned the light on. They're like, oh, are there any others like this? You mean like you? I don't think so.
No, you're one of a kind.
And I'm being nice to you because you met my asking price with cash. So
back to the bathroom.
Yeah, right.
Finish up.
Yeah, really. I'm not a camel. Chuck fancied himself to be a sports car guy. My dad's SLK was still in the garage, and he said, what are you doing with the car? And I said, I'm selling it. And he said, I want to buy it. I said, okay, $25K, but I want to drive it first. And I said, okay.
Let's go pick up Joan.
Yeah.
Go for a ride.
Oh, man, the missed opportunities. Hindsight is 2020.
I'd freak her out.
Yeah, I'd freak her husband out.
Well, yeah.
Hey, I've got a replacement. Now that Leroy's gone, meet Chuck.
Here's your new best friend, Chuck.
Chuck is a piece of meat.
Yeah.
So Chuck has cultivated a mustache that's like a cross between Leroy Neiman and Salvador Dali.
Oh, my.
With a little Kentucky Fried Chicken thrown in.
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah. He's got the Colonel Sanders.
Giant soul patch.
Yeah.
I have trouble taking those guys seriously. I'm sure I'm shaming a segment of society.
With the handlebar mustache.
Yeah.
So anyway, he said, I want to test drive it. And I said, all right. So he's giddy to get in this car. And so is Melba. And I said, do you want to just go with Melba? And Melba's like, no.
You should have said, I've got a basket of driving gloves for you.
Should have said.
What color do you like?
How big are your hands?
That's right. Dozen pair here.
It would have been like OJ.
Yeah, right.
He'd have been trying to put the gloves on, and he's like, none of these fit.
You must have quit.
Yeah. Melba didn't want to go, but she did want to supervise him backing out of the garage. And I did too, because, all of a sudden, mirror comes off.
I don't want it.
Yeah, right. Oh,
Forget it.
could we go down 1,000?
There's a broken mirror here.
So he backs it out. Everything's groovy. We go out of the neighborhood, around the roundabout, back to the garage, and that was the test drive. Like, he didn't even get it out of second gear.
That's all I need.
He wanted this before he did the test drive. It was just gnawing at him.
Well, that's fabulous.
Kind of like Southside Tim.
Yeah, no doubt.
The roundabout is maybe 2 blocks away from the neighborhood. It's not far. I thought for sure he'd take it on the interstate.
Did you check the cigarette lighter, see if it worked?
He did not.
Hopefully he didn't call you. Greg, cigarette lighter's not working.
Right. We pull back in, and he said, I believe you're ready for a check. I said, okay. Are you sure you don't want to drive it further? He's like, nah, I don't need to drive it further.
That's wild.
Boom, $25K.
Did your dad buy it new, or did he buy it used?
He bought it in 2019. He put 2,500 miles on it. And I wish I would have seen this happen. But because he was just the way he was, he took a tire, cut it into fourths, flattened it, and he put it where he wanted the tires to rest.
Little shoes for his tires.
He did have little shoes for his tires. And then he had a fishing line coming down from the ceiling attached to a ball that was, I don't know, the size of a marble. You see him with tennis balls sometimes.
Or ping pong balls.
This was smaller than a ping pong ball. You got to hit a specific spot on the windshield. Otherwise,
You'll miss the rubber shoes.
yeah.
We have the 2024 version of the ping pong ball. We have a laser light.
Do you really?
Motion sensor turns the laser on, and it puts a red dot
And then beams you up to the Starship Enterprise?
if you want.
Nice.
Get the cars parked where you want them, point the lasers where you want it to land.
And it burns out your retina?
If we don't look at
Performs LASIX.
it. So when you pull in, that little red dot touches as long as you square it up.
So where are those positioned in the garage?
It's on the ceiling.
Oh, it is. It's where that fishing line would be thumbtacked.
Not even. It's dead center, and the little laser lights actually have little arms on them that you can move left and right.
Really? Like an adjustable mirror?
Yeah, exactly. I'll have to show it to you.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
It's awesome. I've several people I've showed that, and like, I got to get that.
What about food? I'll eat peanut butter and jelly for a year to have these.
Yeah, exactly. F that tennis ball. This thing's cool.
Red laser? Mm-hmm. Is that a cool laser? Would that cut steel?
I guess if it was on long enough.
If I bring a handful of leaves, would it start a fire?
It might.
We could go burn at Mike's house.
Or we could sit in the garage and put on Dark Side of the Moon.
Do an edible.
And just watch that laser.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Does it turn colors? When you're the personal representative in an estate, you have a certain way you sign it. I couldn't just sign it, Greg Phelps.
Your Highness.
I could have done that. Had I been thinking about 2 ton common, it would have been that.
That guy's heavy. 2 tons.
Yeah, right. Pork rinds. You should have cut back on the pork rinds. You got to know when to say when. Everything in moderation. So he writes the check to Greg Phillips, and I go, no, that happens all the time. Not to derail this, but back when I didn't have seats for the 500 and we sat in the infield, might have been the last year. It was the last year that I sat in the infield. The following year I met Keeley. Keeley said, not a snowball's chance am I going to go in the infield of the 500 with you.
I've heard stories about that.
I've had a bad experience. I'm not doing it
Oh, she's
again.
had a bad experience.
Yeah, she was married in college to a guy named Stu, and Stu took her to the infield and I think proceeded to just be hammered like 99% of the people in the infield.
Like Southside Tim.
Like Southside Tim. In the 70s, the infield was Mardi Gras meets...
Sodom and Gomorrah meets Caligula.
Yeah, meets...
Biker bar.
Yeah, it was just mayhem and sex, drugs, rock and roll with mud thrown in. And so that was just no bueno for her. And I said, just do it with me one time. If you don't like it, then that's okay. She's like, okay. And she had a great time. And so fast forward 46 years or whatever, and here we are. Now, couldn't have been 46 years. We've been married 34, so.
Math and physics, right? Not your song.
I know. I know. So 36 years, I think it's worked out. And so coming out of the fourth turn is a patch of grass that's going to be our grass for the race. Mm-hmm. This dude, it's like when they opened up the Great Plains for pioneers to stake out their turf and it's their house.
Right.
So all of a sudden there's a rope with stakes and all this grass and like 3 people on it. And so I'm like, okay, this looks like a good spot. And this dude comes like whoosh, tsh, right, like nose to nose in my face. This is my space.
Listen here, Phillips.
I said, dude.
You're harsh and mellow.
You've got enough to build a house on, and there are 3 of you.
A homestead.
Well, I've got other people I'm meeting. Okay, how many people? 20. I go, 90 could fit in this space. It's just us. Can't I just be in this space with you guys? And he thinks about it for a minute. He gets a smile on his face, reaches out his hand, and he goes, my name's Greg Phillips. I go, my name's Greg Phelps. I get confused for you all the time. I get the same thing. Where are you from? I said, I'm from Indianapolis. I'm from Battle Creek, Michigan. I said, I work a club in Battle Creek, Michigan. He and his wife came out to the club next time I was there.
Oh, for goodness sakes. Did you slay?
Oh, it was a good set. I worked with Tommy Chong there.
Oh, my gosh.
Of all the places, who'd have thought Battle Creek, Michigan would have a good club?
So that could be construed as maybe your first time you talk to strangers, but
oh, no.
I'm going to guess that probably many years prior to that started.
It might have started when I was doing open mics and got heckled, because those are all strangers.
That's one way to meet strangers.
That is. Usually it's not with something pleasant because I want to shut them down and move on down the road with it.
I've always felt that to be
invasive.
No, I've always felt that to be for a comedian a tough row to hoe because they're obviously distracting you. You try to keep your set in mind and moving forward. You don't want to berate the guy too badly in front of the crowd because the crowd might then start thinking you're going dark. But then you also have to find a way to just shut them down.
I slit their throat. You get a sense for whether the crowd is with you or not. Understanding how to slit their throat is understanding the crowd dynamic. So if they're coming along with you and you know that they're on your side, you just shut them down.
Hard and harsh.
Barry Crimmins was like, oh, excuse me, I've got the lights and the microphone. I don't know why I was the one talking. I don't know what you do at your welding job, but this is my job, and I need you to shut the up.
That usually works.
Yeah. The times that it doesn't, bachelorette party. You just can't shut them down. They're just all about them.
They don't belong there in the first place.
They don't belong there. They've got penis suckers in their mouth, penis balloon hat.
The whole 9.
Yeah. Always a penis hat.
If you had a dime for every penis hat you saw.
Oh, God. I don't know. I'd have at least $10. I'd have enough to buy a penis hat.
And a sucker.
I would not be cut dead, especially in the infield. That's a place where you don't want a penis sucker.
SouthSide Sam, would you like a sucker? I got one left.
So anyway, back to the BMV. He signs the check to Greg Phillips. I said it's Phelps, but it's actually Greg Phelps, personal representative, estate of Leroy Phelps, which is too big to put on a check.
Need to get a rubber stamp.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. So you made it out the right way, and then I sign the title that way, and then I get a phone call the next day saying we were at the BMV, and they said that they need you with us to show that you're really that person.
That seems weird.
It does seem weird. I said, all right, so I'll meet you there tomorrow at 10.
Because you got nothing going on in your life.
I know. I'm actually in a meeting in the car on the way there. I'm in the parking lot. I said, I'm sorry, I have to leave this meeting to go be an emotional support animal for this guy that bought my dad's car. I go in, and the place is standing room only. And he's in there already, and he said, I drew a number so we didn't have to wait. And he shows me the number, and it's like
6,000.
You know when you go to the meat counter?
The deli, right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they still have those.
Yeah, they do. And it's 101.
Okay.
As soon as he shows me that, it comes on 45, please. And I thought, are you kidding me?
I should have packed a lunch.
So he looks at me and he says, I'm going to sit down.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to take a nap.
I'm going to wax my mustache.
We'll go drive the car around a little bit.
Can I watch you do that? I don't know how you make the curl. Is there like a bracket to get it to do that? How do you train it to go in a curl? 101 finally happens. I've got the paperwork from Superior Court saying I'm the personal representative. I've got my ID. I've got my birth certificate. I've got checks with my name on it. I don't want to have to come back.
Right.
He shows the title. She looks at the signatures. She calculates. She said, that'll be $1,025 for the plate. He signs the check and we leave.
Wow.
I just stood there.
Pretty complicated process.
Oh, I know.
Glad you took your half a day off to go help him.
I know.
Stand over and watch him.
Forget the meeting. A license plate that costs $1,025. I mean, that just makes my head spin because of all the taxes. Goes to roads. One of the main center streets in Indianapolis is Meridian Street. They had just widened it, all new pavement within the last 12 months. And now there's an enormous chuck hole.
Well, see, they needed that $1,000.
Yeah, they did, because they didn't apparently do that right. I'm sure that they've got GPS on everything that they do these days. What was that guy doing that he effed up the underlayment and everything else? There is a yellow cone in the chuck hole. It's so big, and you can only see the top part of the cone.
You see ducks swimming in it. Hi, this is Andy. If you enjoyed listening to our podcast, please be sure to subscribe and share. Remember, laughter is contagious. Help us spread it by telling a friend.